Welcome back to Top List. In the golden age of Hollywood, movies were not only made, they were crafted into magic. Backlots felt like royal palaces, screen legends looked larger than life, and every image carried a glow of glamour, moonlight, and myth. Today we're ranking 20 of the greatest films from Hollywood's golden age, a remarkable era that gave the world unforgettable faces, immortal dialogue, and movie moments that helped define cinema for nearly a century. From grand epics to hard-edged dramas, these are the classics that built the Dream Factory. If you love a great movie, give the video a thumbs up, join the channel for more countdowns, and if the hype button appears, give it a tap to help us out. Lights down, projector rolling, let's go back to the golden age. 20th place. Gone with the Wind, 1939. Few films ever aimed this high. Built around a dying southern world, this Civil War epic follows a headstrong woman who fights her way through war, ruin, and a love that never truly lets her go. The scale remains overwhelming, burning cities, wide landscapes, and crowds that appear to run on forever. It was the first color film to win Best Picture, and Hattie McDaniel made history as the first black performer to win an Oscar. Romantic, enormous, and unafraid of grand emotion, it remains one of the most talked-about productions of its era, both for its ambition and for the debate that still follows it today. 19th place. 12 Angry Men, 1957. One room, 12 men, and one young life hanging on a verdict. That is the whole setup, and it proves you do not need gunfire or a chase to keep an audience locked in. 11 jurors are ready to condemn the defendant without much thought, until one holdout raises a doubt and will not let it die. As tempers boil and the afternoon heat climbs, old bias and private anger begin to come out. Sidney Lumet directs his first feature with remarkable control, keeping the room tight until the pressure feels almost physical. Plain talk turns into pure tension. By the final vote, you may find yourself rethinking your own certainty. 18th place. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, 1948. Gold can poison the people who hunt for it, and few movies make that idea hit harder than this one. Two broke Americans drifting through Mexico team up with an old gold hunter and head into the mountains, hoping to get rich. At first, the partnership holds, but mistrust grows with every nugget they pull from the dirt. Humphrey Bogart gives one of his darkest performances, playing a man eaten away by greed and paranoia. Director John Huston filmed much of it on rugged Mexican terrain, giving the whole film a dry, sweat-baked reality, and he and his father both took home Oscars for the film, a first for any family. Few westerns have been this honest about what easy money can do to a man. 17th place. It Happened One Night, 1934. A runaway heiress and a quick-witted reporter end up on the same ride across America, and the friction begins almost at once. She is fleeing her controlling father. He wants the kind of story that can make a career, and neither one expects to enjoy the other's company. What follows is a road trip full of arguments, tricks, and the kind of lively banter that helped invent the romantic comedy. Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert have chemistry that still feels fresh nearly a century later. The film made history as the first to win all 5 major Academy Awards, a clean run only 2 movies have matched since. It gave countless love stories a pattern they still follow. 16th place. On the Waterfront, 1954. Down on the docks, where crooked union bosses rule through fear, one worn-out boxer has to decide whether keeping quiet is worth his soul. Marlon Brando gives the performance that defined his career, quiet, wounded, and torn between loyalty and conscience. His brother works for the mob, the woman he loves wants justice for her dead sibling, and one wrong word could get him killed. Elia Kazan films the cold New Jersey waterfront with a raw realism that pulls you right into the muck. The famous backseat scene between two brothers remains a high point in screen acting. It swept the Oscars with 8 wins, including Best Picture and Best Actor. 15th place. Modern Times, 1936. By the time Hollywood had fully moved into sound, Charlie Chaplin still held on to near silence for one last great outing as his beloved Little Tramp. Built around the grind of the Great Depression, the film drops his unlucky everyman into a deadening factory where machines move faster than any person can keep up. The image of him being dragged through giant gears has become one of the most familiar in all of movie history. It is funny and pointed at once, poking fun at a world that treats workers like cogs. Real heart runs through it too, above all in his bond with a lively young woman trying to get by beside him. No filmmaker before or after has made a critique of modern life feel quite so light on its feet. 14th place. Double Indemnity, 1944. A polished insurance agent enters a woman's home for an ordinary policy call and leaves tangled in a murder plot. That is the trap Billy Wilder lays in one of the films that helps define noir for everyone who followed. Barbara Stanwyck is cool and magnetic as the wife who knows how to bait a hook, while Fred McMurray plays the fall guy who ought to know better. Light falls in hard bars, the dialogue hits like a lit match, and every move toward the perfect crime draws the trap tighter. Hard-boiled, dirty, and impossibly cool, it became a model for generations of crime thrillers. 13th place. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Hard to believe this holiday classic was a flop when it first opened. James Stewart pours everything into George Bailey, a small-town man who keeps giving up his own dreams for everyone around him, until one desperate Christmas Eve brings him to the brink. An angel who has yet to earn his wings arrives to reveal a plain but profound truth about the value of an ordinary life. Frank Capra balances real darkness with overwhelming warmth, and Stewart gives one of his most aching performances. The movie quietly faded after release, then found new life decades later on television, becoming a beloved tradition for millions. Few films leave you feeling more grateful to be alive. 12th place. The Searchers, 1956. John Ford and John Wayne had made many westerns together, but this one cuts deeper than almost any of them. Wayne plays a hardened Civil War veteran who returns home to tragedy and begins a years-long hunt for a niece taken by a Comanche raiding party. The rescue hunt gradually turns into something darker, driven by a hatred he cannot fully control. Filmed against the towering rock formations of Monument Valley, it is breathtaking to look at and deeply unsettling, denying the genre any easy heroism. Filmmakers from Scorsese to Spielberg have pointed to it as a defining influence, and its haunting final shot remains one of the most studied images in film history. 11th place. Some Like It Hot, 1959. Two broke musicians watch a mob hit and take the only option that might keep them alive. They dress as women and join an all-girl band bound for Florida. From that wild premise, Billy Wilder builds one of the quickest and funniest comedies ever made. Their new identities bring romantic confusion, angry gangsters, and a run of close calls that build beautifully. Marilyn Monroe lights up the screen as the band's dreamy singer, while her two new bandmates fight to keep their cover and stay alive. The humor lands today with the same snap it had decades ago, never pausing for air. It ends with a final line that still draws laughs every time. 10th place. The Maltese Falcon, 1941. A jeweled bird worth a fortune, a web of betrayal, and a detective who trusts no one. Here is the film that taught Hollywood how noir could work. Humphrey Bogart breaks away from years of gangster typecasting to become Sam Spade, a hard-bitten private eye pulled into the hunt for a priceless black statue that everyone is ready to kill for. The plot coils like smoke, the dialogue cuts like a blade, and a gallery of liars circles one another with knives hidden behind their backs. First-time director John Huston gets it right on the very first try, helping launch one of the great careers in film. Every cynical screen detective who followed owes something to what Bogart built here. Ninth place. Rear Window, 1954. Confined to a wheelchair with a broken leg, a restless photographer fills the day by watching the neighbors across the courtyard, until what he notices stops feeling harmless and begins to look like murder. Alfred Hitchcock builds almost the entire film from one apartment, yet the tension keeps climbing until you can barely sit still. James Stewart plays the nosy photographer, with Grace Kelly radiant as the girlfriend drawn into his dangerous hunch. The brilliant trick is how Hitchcock makes you part of the act, turning curiosity into a trap. Nervy, witty, and quietly unnerving, it has plenty to say about the thrill and guilt of watching other people. By the end, you may feel caught looking too. Eighth place. All About Eve, 1950. Show business has rarely been cut open with this much bite. An aging Broadway star takes a wide-eyed young admirer under her wing, never guessing how ruthless the newcomer truly is. Bette Davis delivers the role of a lifetime as the fading diva, firing razor-edged lines with relish as she feels the ground moving beneath her. The whole film crackles with backstage plotting, wounded pride, and dialogue so quotable it long ago entered the language. It earned a record 14 Oscar nominations, a mark that stood for nearly half a century, and walked away with Best Picture. No film before or after has understood quite so well what fame can do to the people circling it. Seventh place. City Lights, 1931. Years into the sound era, Charlie Chaplin gambled everything on a silent picture, and it paid off beautifully. His little tramp falls for a poor blind flower girl who mistakes him for a wealthy gentleman, then tumbles through one comic ordeal after another to help pay for an operation to restore her sight. The laughs arrive quickly, a chaotic boxing match, a drunken millionaire who only recognizes him while drunk, but the tenderness is what lingers. Chaplin reportedly filmed the flower-buying moment again and again, hundreds of times, until it felt exactly right. The final moment is among the most moving ever put on film, a quiet exchange of looks that says everything words could not. Sixth place. The Wizard of Oz, 1939. Few films have rooted themselves this deeply in popular culture. A Kansas farm girl is lifted by a tornado and dropped into a dazzling land of witches, talking scarecrows, and a yellow brick road. The leap from sepia to glorious Technicolor still brings a jolt of wonder, and the songs have been hummed by generations who know every word without trying. Judy Garland anchors it all with warmth and longing, giving the fantasy a real human heart. Behind the magic was a famously troubled production, with director changes and on-set trouble that never appear in the finished film. It remains one of the purest works of movie enchantment ever made. Fifth place. Sunset Boulevard, 1950. Hollywood has rarely turned the blade on itself with more elegance. A broke writer, on the run from debt collectors, wanders into a decaying mansion owned by a forgotten silent film queen who still believes her great comeback is waiting right around the corner. Gloria Swanson is magnetic as the faded icon holding on to a glory that has long ago moved on without her, while the movie draws both characters deeper into a trap that keeps closing, inch by inch. The whole tale is narrated from beyond the grave by the writer himself, opening with an unforgettable image that tells you exactly how dark the road ahead will be. It captures the cruelty of fame better than almost any movie ever made, and its best-known lines still echo through Hollywood. Fourth place. Vertigo, 1958. A former detective with a crippling fear of heights is hired to follow a friend's wife, and what begins as an ordinary job turns into an obsession he cannot escape. Alfred Hitchcock builds a dizzying tale of desire and illusion, wrapped in rich color and placed against a dreamlike San Francisco. James Stewart plays against his wholesome image as a man coming apart bit by bit, while Kim Novak holds the central mystery in her hands. The famous lurching camera effect, where the world appears to stretch and fall away at once, has been copied again and again. Coolly received when it first opened, the film kept rising in reputation for decades, eventually topping one of the most celebrated critics' polls of the greatest movies ever made. Third place, Singin' in the Rain, 1952. Just as Hollywood was racing to move from silent films into sound, this joyful musical found the perfect comic goldmine in all that turmoil. A dashing movie star and his thin-voiced leading lady face disaster when audiences finally hear her talk, and a bright young hopeful may be the one who can save the day. Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor, and Debbie Reynolds light up the screen with dancing so effortless it almost looks easy. The title number, Kelly splashing through puddles in pure delight, is one of the most beloved scenes in film history. Only a modest hit at first, it grew into the standard every musical is measured against, and it still leaves you grinning 80 years on. Second place, Casablanca, 1942. In a wartime city packed with refugees and spies, a weary American bar owner has his carefully guarded heart broken open when the woman who once left him walks back into his life, now married to a hunted resistance leader. What could have been a routine wartime romance became something far greater, thanks to the electric chemistry between Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, and a screenplay filled with lines that have echoed for generations. The cast brings real ache to a story about love, duty, and doing the right thing when it costs everything. It won Best Picture and has never stopped being quoted. Romantic, stirring, and impossible to shake, it has only grown more beloved with time. And in first place is Citizen Kane, 1941. Often crowned the greatest film ever made, Orson Welles' debut remains boldly modern. It opens with the death of a fabulously wealthy newspaper tycoon whose final whispered word pulls a reporter into the story of his life, putting together the rise and ruin of a man who had everything but the one thing he truly wanted. Welles was just 25 when he directed, co-wrote, and starred in it, breaking nearly every rule with deep focus shots, daring sound design, and a fractured timeline that moves through memory like a fever dream. The story famously enraged newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst, who saw too much of himself in Welles's fictional tycoon. Bold, mournful, and astonishingly ambitious, it reshaped what movies could be, and decades on, filmmakers still study every frame. And that brings our journey through Hollywood's golden years to a close. 20 films that defined an era and proved that some magic never fades. Now we want to hear from you. Which Golden Age classic do you think still holds up best today? And did your personal favorite make the cut? Drop it in the comments below. We read every one, and your thoughts genuinely help guide the channel and the videos we make next. If you enjoyed this trip through old Hollywood, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can join us for the next countdown. And if that hype button appears, give it a tap to help spread the word. You'll also find links to physical and digital copies of these films down in the description. Perfect for building your own classic collection. And if you'd like to get even closer to the action, consider joining the channel for early access to new videos, merch discounts, and other members-only perks. While you're at it, visit the merch store and grab something that shows your love for the classics. Until next time, keep the projector warm and the popcorn ready.